Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so good to be here right now. Oh my God. I feel like we have a choir loft up here. Not only those who are here physically, but those who are here spiritually. We've got a number of people who are joining us via Zoom and via YouTube tonight. We welcome you as part of the congregation. I'm Rabbi Zach Shapiro, and what an extraordinary moment this is. This is a very special weekend. It's a weekend of celebrating freedom. It's a weekend of celebrating being together again and giving hugs. I was saying to Lewis and Arlene Forsyth just before the service began that I feel like I have a year and a half of hugs to make up for. And so let's hug and hug and hug as much as we can and as much as is safe, because we're not out of the woods yet. But here we are. This is a weekend of anniversary for me. 15 years ago, this Shabbat, or I should say, I'm trying to do the calculation, in 2006, this Shabbat was my very first Shabbat at Temple Akiba. And so as I celebrate this time of renewal, I look into each of your faces and souls. My gosh, some of you were here well before I came. Some of you welcomed me in my first day. Some of you joined our family as time went on. But it's as though all of us stood at Mount Sinai together. On a Shabbat such as this, it's so appropriate to offer a Shehecheyanu. It's thanking God for giving us life and sustaining us and enabling us to reach right now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'tzivanu v'hikiyanu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'tzivanu v'hikiyanu b'zman hazeh. It's now my honor to invite forward two very special people, one of whom is one of our incredible professional staff members, and that's Randy Bischoff. She'll be coming forward to light our Shabbat candles tonight. And we'd also like to invite forward Randy, who will be leading us in the Kiddush. 1 second, Randy. Oh, we have Randy and Randy. Wow. That was not intentional. I'm going to bring the microphone. There, they're going to turn. Let me just bring this over to here so they can see you. When we're in our prayer books on page, turn to page 2, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Randy, number 1. We're going to ask for all who are able to please rise for the Kiddush. We're on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzvanu l'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzron hinkilanu zikiron l'maaseh b'reshit higu yom tehila l'migra'e kodesh Zekelisat Mitzrayim. Imanu v'chata, Yotanu gitmashta, Mikol ha'amim, B'Shabbat kodshecha, Be'ahava u'b'ratzon, Imchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Move this back to here. Please be seated. Please be seated, everyone. Thank you, Randy. If we turn in our prayer books to page 6, on the top of the page, let's read together. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors' life of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. We're going to continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi. It's on page 20. Lecha Dodi likratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Whoa, stop. You guys have forgotten. This is a call and response. Lecha Dodi. Here we go. Lecha Dodi likratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Amor bizafor b'dibor echad, yishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shemu tiferet milah. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi nekratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi nekratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. V'yikrat Shabbat lehechu v'necha, v'hi mekor habracha, nevosh mikegen nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'ma'aseh batila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi nekratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi nekratala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5, everyone, verse 5. Hitoreri, ki va'orech, u'mi'ori, u'huri, shedaberi, kivod Adonai alai yitnila. Lecha Dodi, Shabbat we ask all who are able to rise, we face the entry that we came through. Mo'i b'shalom b'terech bara, ram b'simcha u'b'sola, bo'chenunei am simula, bo'wi chala, lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat chala, l'nei Shabbat ekavela. We remain standing and we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26 that Max Botrush will lead us in. Come on forward, Max, you're just in time. Can you take your mask off? Shabbat shalom.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba v'amad yivrachutei v'amlich mahutei v'chayechonu v'yomechon v'chayedek o bet Yisrael bagala u'bizman kariv nimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach Le'omaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitpa'ar V'Raman V'Naseh V'Tadar V'Talal Shemei Dekudusha B'Rihu Le'elamim Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tush B'Chata V'Nefemata Damiram Yalom Vineru Amen.
Don't put too far away, okay? Max is our junior rabbi emeritus around here. Welcome home from college. We're glad that you're here. We remain standing and we're going to continue with our formal call to worship, the Baruch Hu. We're on page 28. And for this prayer, we face Jerusalem, which is in this direction. We're going to continue on page 30 together. Those of you who are familiar with the Hebrew, I'll do it slowly, but please try to read with me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. This is a prayer that teaches that God causes light and darkness to flow one into the other. And while that's certainly about the physical light and darkness of the world, it's also about what goes on emotionally in our lives. You know, we go through periods of sadness or happiness, of sickness or health, and we learn that life really is a journey weaving one into the other. And if we take that long point of view, we know that darkness will always give way to light. And there will be darkness again, but there will be light again. And that's the history and the future of our people. The Shema Yisrael, the central prayer in Judaism, is on page 34. We're going to go back to old school Akiba. Everyone make the letter Shin with your hands. That's 3 fingers in the air. We're going to cover our eyes. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Yod Malchuto, Le'olam. Please be seated, everyone. We're going to do the Via Hafta that we often do with our ECC and religious school. It's not a lot of hand claps. Close your books, because it's hard to clap your hands with your books open. And this goes like this. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Hold on 1 second, everyone. Those of you who are here are fine. Those of you at home who I can see on Zoom are just sitting there not doing the claps. All right, I'm calling you out. So it goes like this: la 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 la, clap clap, ya la 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 la. All right, thank you. Let's try it again from the beginning. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. לה 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 ושיננת מלבניך ודיברת בם, ושבתך Hey! Let's do it again. Hey! So, our next prayer is the Micha Mocha. Right, Micha Mocha. Now, Max was here earlier during our Camp Shabbat, which was just filled with so many kids. Randy Bischoff is leading a great summer camp program. Thank you, Randy, for doing all that. And we explained at that time that this particular prayer, the Micha Mocha, this prayer for freedom, it lends itself to a melody for every holiday that's going on. So, for example, if it's the High Holy Days, we often do it to the High Holy Day melody. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh. Recognize that one, especially choir members. That's that is the High Holy Day, Rosh Hashanah evening melody. If it were Passover, we might do it to Adir Hu. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai. On Hanukkah, we often do it to Ma'uz Sur. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai. During the World Series, we often do it to Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but that's not tonight. Tonight, being 4th of July weekend, whoever can figure out this melody gets 1,000,000 rabbi points.
How about Yankee Doodle Dandy?
Oh, I think you're not allowed to guess it, Herman, before we do it. All right, I now have to think of a different melody. No, okay, we'll do it to Yankee Doodle. That's good. Herman, you don't get the 1,000,000 points because you guessed before we began. Okay, let's try this out. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, no natilot, Osei pehelet. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, no natilot, Osei pehelet. Micha Mocha. Hey, all right. Turning to page 42, very special prayer, the Hashti Benu. It's a prayer that we only do in the evening. And it's a prayer that says, God, as we enter periods of darkness, please remind us that there is always tomorrow. There's always hope for the next day. If we go down to the third line in the Hebrew, please repeat after me. Ufros, Aleinu, Sukkot, Shlomecha. That means shelter us with a sukkah of your peace. Ufros, Aleinu, Sukkot. We're going to continue now with the Amidah. Begins on page 46. Max, we're going to ask you to come forward to lead us in these prayers as well. And we ask for all who are able to rise once again, facing Jerusalem, which is to my left.
Adonai, Sefatah Ufi Yitehi Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu B'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Chayel Hagadol Hagibor Ba'arora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imamot, U'mevinu la'livnei bneihem, Lema shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach L'Madim. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah, Rav L'Choshiyah. Mechayeh Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim. Somer Noflim V'Ofech Olim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mechayeh Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mitchamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'Midomela, Melech Me'imitu Mechayeh, U'Matzliach Yeshua, Ne'eman atah Hayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'shimcha yom yom yafela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated, everyone. I want to offer some words of Torah before we enter our silent prayer tonight. So you may choose to close your books at this time. One of the prayers that Max so beautifully chanted was the Gevurot, means God's power. And for those who grew up in a conservative or Orthodox congregation, just by a show of hands, did any of you grow up in a conservative or Orthodox? So a handful of you. So in your Siddur, your prayer book is a little bit different than the Reform one for this particular prayer. And in our prayer book, we say Mechayeh HaKol, that God gives life to all. In a traditional prayer book, it says Mechayeh HaMeitim, that God gives life to those who have died. In fact, a traditional view of this could translate it that God resurrects the dead, which doesn't sound like a particularly Jewish concept. But the truth is, Christianity got that concept from Judaism. And it's this idea of resurrection of the dead. It's a very Jewish concept from our traditional sources. When Reform Judaism got its legs in Germany and then later on in America, It rejected as a movement the idea of resurrection of the dead. It rejected as a movement the idea of a Messiah coming. That doesn't mean that Reformed Jews don't believe in the Messiah. But the movement itself said we embrace a different value. At least that's what it embraced at the time. And the movement changed the words from Mechaye Hametim, that God gives life to the dead, to Mechaye Hakol, God gives life to all. In our prayer book, now, today, there's actually the option of both endings, God giving life to all or God giving life to those who have died. And the reason the Reform movement re-embraced this as a movement, it's not so much because of the idea of this messianic figure, but it's more that if we look at our own lives, I mean, how many of us haven't ever felt like we got a second wind and we've been restored? And that when we thought that all was darkness and lost, all of a sudden we get another beginning. That is what Mechaye Hametim can also mean. That just when we feel like all is gone, a new breath of air comes into our nostrils and we get to start all over again. I feel like tonight is an opportunity to say Mechaye Hametim, that when we thought that all was complete darkness, here we are. I don't know about you, but a year ago March, I sank into the worst kind of emotions. I went into my cocoon and I cried and I was afraid. And I did that binge shopping because I thought that all the grocery stores were going to shut down. I bought the last cans of food on the shelf, like the pork rinds, because I was afraid there wouldn't be anything else. But Mechaye Hametim, we have had an opportunity for renewal. Our Torah portion for today is called Pinchas. The truth is, Herman Bonathan, it's not my favorite portion. It's a lot of census giving. But I read it today again, and Mechaye Hametim, I was able to find new life into something that in many ways was old to me. Because the portion teaches that at the end of the plague, we shall take an accounting for everyone who's here. My gosh, it's like it's serendipitous. It's as though this portion were written specifically for today. As we emerge from this plague, let's look around and count the blessings that we still have. Look at the silver linings that enabled us to get through this. Not to ignore the horror that our world has experienced, not to turn a blind eye to the fact that people suffered and people died. But as we emerge from this plague, we still have the responsibility to look and to really take accounting for how we survived and how we are here and those silver linings that enabled us to get to this point. Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye Hametim. Thank you, God, for bringing new life to something that seemed dead and gone. Friends, I'm going to ask for all of us to take a moment and close our eyes. Think of those blessings that became your lifelines that brought you to being here right now as we pray Sunday. It's a beautiful Israeli song that I learned at camp originally when I was growing up. It's called Ani ve'ata. It means you and I will change the world. It's not in your prayer books, or if it is, I don't have the page number. So just, this is a song to listen, and if you know the words, if you know it, please sing. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yavo'u k'ulam. Amru et ze kodem לפניי זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה ננסה מההתחלה. יהיה לנו גם אין דבר זה לא נורא. אמרו את זה קודם לפניי, זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. את העולם. את העולם. Page 253, right in the middle of the page, we have our Misha Barach, our prayer for healing. Oh boy, does our world need healing right now. As we sing this, whether you're home or here with us in person, we ask you to think of those who could use an extra hug on this Shabbat. And when I get to the center of the page of the prayer, we'll pause for a moment, and as my eyes meet yours, please share names out loud of people that you know who could use those prayers. And for those who are at home, we encourage you to share those names in the chat box so that we can see for whom you are praying. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Just Carol Diamond. Bless those in need of healing with refuah Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. What an honor it is now to invite forward, representing our leadership, Herman Barnathan, who's here to offer a welcome to all who are here physically and spiritually. Herman, Shabbat Shalom. May I give you a hug?
You better. It's great to be here. It's a fantastic night. It really is. It's the first time we've all been together, I don't know, over a year and a half or something like that.
It's daily, yeah.
And it's not going to be the last time. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I welcome you to the first of many, many more in-person Shabbats. There's not much to say as far as announcements are concerned. July is a very, very quiet month in the synagogue. But on Friday nights, we're going to get together. We're going to make noise. There won't be an Onik Shabbat tonight, but I'm told that there will be one starting next week. So bring your appetites with you on next Friday night. I'm also reminded that we're going to go to the beach in August. I don't know the exact date, but you can check it in the bulletin. Most of you should probably have your bulletins already. Shabbat Shalom to you all. And please, please stay safe. It's not over yet.
Watch your step, Herman. There's some wires there. Thank you so much, Herman. I also want to acknowledge a few people who helped make tonight possible. First of all, Jeffrey Rips, our executive director, and Randy Bischoff, our senior educator. They really helped create the vision for what this would look like and make sure that everything is in place. And Randy, I'm especially grateful that you stayed, or you came back tonight after such a long week to help us out. Thank you to Max Petrush for helping lead part of the service tonight. Thank you to Randy Murphy for offering us such a beautiful Kiddush in company with Randy Bischoff's candlelighting. And thank you also to Carol Diamond, who is here via Zoom. Carol and I were talking earlier in the week that this marks her 15 months of being our Zoom master. I mean, wow. She thought that she'd have the night off, but she's actually busy working in the background just to make sure that those who are here via Zoom are connected and to make sure that our YouTube is connected as well. So Carol, thank you so much for your leadership and your partnership, and our hearts are very much grateful to everything that you do. Cantorlani sends her love. She is on a very well-deserved vacation. And Cantorial intern Liz was going to join me tonight, but she was under the weather, and she sends her love. We hope that she can be with us next week once again. Everyone, let's take a deep breath of fresh air. It's so special to be here. It's so special. Your homework is to bring people next week. Bring people, call up your friends who are members of the temple, call up people who should be members of the temple, and say, you know what, Temple Akiba has got in-person services outdoors, and we want, we want you to be with us because we want to meet your friends and we want to continue to fill this place with light and with spirit. Our worship now continues with our concluding prayers. If we open to page 282, we're about halfway down the page. We invite all who are able to rise. We face Jerusalem once again. A lot of you aren't used to getting up a lot, right? Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teidu l'yotzei b'reshit, shelo asanu b'guyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu b'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu lahem, v'goraleinu ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר V'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo, echad. Please be seated, everyone. As we prepare for Kadisha Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, rather than a reading from our books, I'll share an important family tradition, one that a lot of you know about. Last Shabbat, in our Kaddish list, one of the names was Philip Rupert, my maternal grandfather. And as many of you know, one of the many things that Grandpa Phil was famous for was that every year on the 4th of July, he would gather all of his descendants and read us the Declaration of Independence. And as we got older, he would make sure that we were all on a phone line together, and he would read it to us. And he'd always finish by saying, kids, no matter how old we were his kids, don't ever forget what my father, my great-grandpa Abe, came to this country for. And he would say, no matter who is in the White House, no matter what laws you disagree or agree with, our country is one built on freedom. And our country is one built on hope for tomorrow. He said, don't ever take for granted that you live in this country. Don't ever fall into the malaise of people who are overly cynical, because this country is about hope. And even when this country does things that are wrong, we strive toward goodness. Grandpa died a number of years ago, but to this day, our family continues the tradition, now via Zoom, of reading the Declaration of Independence. And I hope it's a tradition that other families who are here can adopt, because I think it's really important for us to remember what our democracy is about. And so we remember friends and family of our own community who gave us life, who gave us hope, and who hopefully are reminders of what freedom is about. We remember especially those for whom we are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. And this includes Judy Friedman's sister, Esther Nell Taba. We are so sorry for your loss. And this includes the 98-year-old grandma of Stella, Elizabeth Eker, is that the pronunciation? Eker, excuse me. Is there anyone else who is observing Shloshim the first 30 days?
Gary Umstead.
Gary Umstead. Can you tell us who Gary was? A brother-in-law? I'm so sorry for your loss. Lily White, and she was a former colleague. I'm so sorry. May their memories be a blessing. Added to their names at the yard sites, the anniversaries of the deaths that occur on this Shabbat. And for those, again, who are home, for all these names, if there are people that you are remembering, please share those in our chat box. Remember those who have names in our Sue and Jerry Erford Memorial Room, Augusta Bimstein, Nathan Diamond, Sylvia Eisen, David Hillman, Leah Kavganovich, Abraham Kaplan, Helen Levine, Francis Leviton, Genevieve Pichero, Miriam Rue, Janet Sherman, Louis Weinberg, Frank Walter. And we also remember Seymour Alexander, Roz Annisman, Benjamin Barth, Marilyn Dershowitz, Ralph Falk, Julius Feinberg, Jonathan Feander, Blanche Fink, Ida Friedman, Bernice Friedland, Louis Greenspan, Cyril Hirsch, Kenneth Hopfeld, Francis Littman, Marilyn Mann, Kate Metz, Sophie Miller, Gloria Pace, Helen Paley, Karen Pelletier, Max Reinhardt, Alyssa Rouge. Are there additional yard sites to those who are here or remembering? May their memories guide us all toward goodness. We ask for you once again, if you're able to rise, we're on page 294 for Kadisha Tom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal, Yitzgadash, Shemei Rabbah. Yalmad Yibrach Rotei Yam Yismal Rotei. V'chayechon uvyomechon. V'chayei T'chol Beit Yisrael. V'galau Yisman Karev Imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Leolam Oamei Omaya. Yitbarach Yishabach. Yitba'ar Yitromam Yitnaseh. Yitadar Yitalev Yitalav. Shemei Rusha Berezu. Le'elam Min Kol Birchata B'Shirata. Sushbetata B'Nechemata. Damiran B'Yama Imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Nimronav. U'yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Amen. May the one who causes peace to be known in the high heavens help us understand that by reaching out toward one another, we create peace on earth as well. For all Israel and for all humanity, we say, Amen. Friends, put your books down. Remain standing, though. We're going to close our service with a great American folk tune, not in our prayer books, and I need your hands ready to clap. This is one of those tunes I so wish that Andy Alexander were here in person, because she would say we're going to have a hootenanny now, and get out her big broad smile and guitar and start playing with us. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer it morning, I'd hammer it evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, I got a hammer, and I got a bell, and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's a hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song of love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. It's a hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all his land. All right, we got one more ritual, everyone. So we still are not at the point that we can do a big communal touch everyone challah. So we got one that's big enough for me. Oh, okay, so Sarah Fields is here and she's saying, after all, you are the rabbi, and I did it by myself, so I should get this perk. I agree. In fact, Randy's daughter, Sarah, just gave me a thank you gift for the bat mitzvah. She did a great bat mitzvah last week, and it says, "Trust me, I'm the rabbi." Max better remember that. Okay. It's so good to be here again. And I feel like this twisted challah just represents all of our souls gathered together once again. Let's offer the motzi. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices join in happy chorus as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avot. Shabbat shalom, everyone.